Chapter 11. At least sweet potatoes have lots of vitamin A. Her. Definitely her, Hannah whispered, pointing. Nah, they're too small, Mona whispered back. But look at the way they puff up at the top. Totally fake, Hannah countered. I think that woman over there has had her butt done. Gross. Hannah wrinkled her nose and ran her hands over the side of her own toned, perfectly round butt to make sure it was still perfectly perfect. It was late afternoon on Wednesday, just 2 days until Noel Kahn's annual field party, and she and Mona were lounging around the outside terrace at Yam, the organic cafe at Mona's parents' country club. Below them, a bunch of Rosewood boys played a quick round of golf before dinner, but Hannah and Mona were playing another type of game, spot the fake boobs, or fake anything else, as there was lots of fake stuff around here. Yeah, it looks like her surgeon messed up, Mona murmured. I think my mom plays tennis with her. I'll ask. Hannah looked again at the pixie-ish 30-something woman by the bar, whose butt did look suspiciously extra luscious for the rest of her toothpick skinny figure. I'd die before I got plastic surgery. Mona played with the charm on her Tiffany bracelet, the one she evidently didn't have to give back. Do you think Aria Montgomery had hers done? Hannah looked up startled. Why? She's really thin and they're like too perfect, Mona said. She went to Finland or whatever, right? I hear in Europe they can do your boobs for really cheap. I don't think they're fake, Hannah murmured. How do you know? Hannah chewed on her straw. Aria's boobs has always been there. She and Allison had been the only two of the friends who needed a bra in 7th grade. Allie always flaunted hers, but the only time Aria seemed to notice she even had boobs was when she knit everyone's bras on as Christmas gifts and had to make hers a larger size. She just doesn't seem the type, Hannah answered. Talking to Mona about her old friends was awkward territory. Hannah still felt bad about how she and Allie and the others had used to tease Mona back in 7th grade, but it always seemed too weird to bring up now. Mona stared at her. Are you all right? You look different today. Hannah flinched. I do? How? Mona gave her a tiny smirk. Whoa, somebody's jumpy. I'm not jumpy, Hannah said quickly. But she was. Ever since the police station and that email she had gotten last night, she'd been freaking. This morning, her eyes even seemed more dull brown than green, and her arms looked disturbingly puffy. She had this horrible sense that she really was going to spontaneously morph back into her 7th grade self. A blonde giraffe-like waitress interrupted them. Have you decided? Mona looked at the menu. I'll have the Asian chicken salad, no dressing. Hannah cleared her throat. I want a garden salad with sprouts, no dressing, and an extra large order of sweet potato fries, in a carry-out box, please. As the waitress took their menus, Mona pushed her sunglasses down her nose. Sweet potato fries? For my mom, Hannah answered quickly. She lives on them. Down on the golf course, a group of older guys teed up along with one young-looking guy in fatigue shorts. He looked a little out of place with his messy brown hair, cargos, and was that a Rosewood police polo? Oh no, it was. Wilden scanned the terrace and coolly nodded when he saw Hannah. She ducked. Who is that? Mona purred. Hannah mumbled, half under the table. Darren Wilden was a golfer? Come on. Back in high school, he was the type to flick lit matches at the guys on Rosewood's golf team. Was the whole world out to get her? Mona squinted. Wait, didn't he go to our school? She grinned. Oh my god. It's the girls' diving team guy, Hannah, you little bitch. How does he know you? Hannah paused. She ran her hand along the waistband of her jeans. I met him on the Merowyn Trail a couple days ago when I was running. We stopped at the water fountain at the same time. Nice, Mona said. Does he work around here? Hannah paused. She really wanted to avoid this. I think he said he was a cop, she said nonchalantly. You're kidding. Mona took out her Shoe Umpra lip moisturizer from her blue leather hobo bag and lightly dabbed her bottom lip. That guy's hot enough to be a policeman's calendar. I could just see it. Mr. April. Let's ask if we can get his nightstick. Shh, Hannah hissed. Their salads came. Hannah pushed the styrofoam container of sweet potato fries to the side and took a bite of an undressed grape tomato. Mona leaned closer. I bet you could hook up with him. Who? Mr. April. Who else? Hannah snorted. Right. Totally. You should bring him to Kahn's party. I heard some cops came last year. That's how they never get busted. Hannah sat back. The Kahn party was a legendary Rosewood tradition. The Kahns lived on a 20-some acre of land, and the Kahn boys, Noel was the youngest, held a back-to-school party every year. The kids raided their parents' extremely well-stocked liquor supply in the basement, and there was always a scandal. Last year, Noel shot his best friend James in the bare ass with his BB gun because James tried to make out with Noel's then-girlfriend, Alyssa Pennypacker. They were both so drunk they laughed the whole way to the ER and couldn't remember how or why it happened. The year before that, a bunch of stoners smoked too much and tried to get Mr. Khan's Appaloosa to take hits from a bong. Nah, Hannah bit into another tomato. I think I'm gonna go with Sean. Mona scrunched up her face. Why waste a perfectly good party night on Sean? He took a virginity pledge. He probably wouldn't even go. Just because you sign a virginity pledge doesn't mean you stop partying too. Hannah took a big bite of salad, crunching the dry, unappetizing vegetables in her mouth. Well, if you're not going to ask Mr. Appleton Knowles, I will. Mona stood up. Hannah grabbed her arm. No! Why not? Come on, it'd be fun. Hannah dug her fingernails into Mona's arm. I said no. Mona sat back down and stuck out her lip. Why not? Hannah's heart galloped. All right. You can't tell anyone, though. She took a deep breath. I met him at the police station, not the trail. I was called in for questioning for the Tiffany's thing. But it's not a big deal. I'm not busted. Oh my God, Mona yelled. Wilden looked up at them again. Shh, Hannah hissed. Are you all right? What happened? Tell me everything, Mona whispered. There isn't much to tell. Hannah threw her napkin over her plate. They brought me to the police station. My mom came with me and we sat for a while. They let me off with a warning. Whatever. The whole thing took like 20 minutes. Yikes. Mona gave Hannah an indeterminate look. Hannah wondered for a second if it was a look of pity. It wasn't like dramatic or anything, Hannah said defensively, her throat dry. Not much happened. Most of the cops were on the phone. I text messaged the whole time. She paused, considering whether or not she should tell Mona about the not it text message she received from A, whoever A was. But why waste her breath? It couldn't have actually meant anything, right? Mona took a sip of her Perrier. I thought you'd never get caught. Hannah swallowed hard. Yeah, well, did your mom totally kill you? Hannah looked away. On the drive home, her mom had asked Hannah if she'd meant to steal the bracelet and earrings. When Hannah said no, Miss Marion answered, good, it's settled then flipped open her cell phone to make a call. Hannah shrugged and stood up. I just remembered. I gotta go walk Dot. Are you sure you're okay? Mona asked. Your face looked kind of splotchy. No biggie. She smacked her lips glamorously at Mona and turned for the door. Hannah sauntered coolly out of the restaurant. But once she got to the parking lot, she broke into a run. She climbed inside her Toyota Prius, a car her mom had bought for herself last year, but had recently handed off to Hannah because she'd grown tired of it, and checked her face in the rearview mirror. There were hideous, bright red patches on her cheeks and forehead. After her transformation, Hannah had been neurotically careful about not only looking cool and perfect all the time, but being cool and perfect too. Terrified that the tiniest mistake would send her spiraling back to dorkdom, she labored over every last detail, from little things like the perfect I Am screen name and the right mix for her car's built-in iPod, to bigger stuff like the right combo of people to invite before someone's party and choosing the perfect it boy to date, who luckily was the same boy she'd loved since 7th grade. Had getting caught for shoplifting just tarnished the perfect, controlled, uber-cool Hannah everyone had come to know? She hadn't been able to read the look on Mona's face when she said yikes. Had the look meant yikes, but no big deal, or yikes, what a loser? She wondered if maybe she shouldn't have told Mona at all. But then, someone else already knew. A. Know what Sean's going to say? Not it. Hannah's field of vision went blurry. She squeezed the steering wheel for a few seconds, then jammed the key into the ignition and rolled out of the country club parking lot to a gravelly dead-end turn-off a few yards down the road. She could hear her heart pounding at her temples as she turned the engine off and took deep breaths. The wind smelled like hay and just mown grass. Hannah shut her eyes tight. When she opened them, she stared at the container of sweet potato fries. Don't, she thought. A car swished by the main road. Hannah wiped her hands on her jeans. She snuck another peek at the container. The fries smelled delicious. Don't. She reached over for them and opened the lid. Their sweet, warm smell wafted into her face. Before she could stop herself, Hannah shoved handful after handful of fries into her mouth. The fries were still so hot that they burned her tongue, but she didn't care. It was such a relief. This was the only thing that made her feel better. She didn't stop until she'd eaten them all and even licked the sides of the container for the salt and had gathered at the bottom. At first she felt much calmer, but by the time she pulled into her driveway, the old familiar feeling of panic and shame had welled up inside of her. Hannah was amazed somehow, even though it had been years since she's done this. Everything felt exactly the same. Her stomach ached, her pants felt tight, and all she wanted was to get rid of what was inside of her. Ignoring Dot's excited cries from her bedroom, Hannah bolted to the upstairs bathroom, slammed the door, and collapsed onto the tile floor. Thank God her mom wasn't home from work yet. At least she wouldn't hear what Hannah was about to do.